Hello my friends, welcome back to another wonderful tutorial. Now, this week I am going to paint a lovely crashing wave. Now, I do apologise, I am sick, I have a very bad head cold, so I'm all kind of stuffed up. I hope it doesn't interfere with the video too much. But I'm going to show you what I had on my Facebook page. This wonderful painting, okay? Now, I'm going to paint something similar to this, but very kind of dark with lots of gold going through the water and lots of highlights. So I think that's going to be really fun. So yeah, I'm going to paint that. I have my canvas here behind me, ready to go. So let's go and have some fun with this. I hope you enjoy the tutorial. Please do subscribe. And if you want to support me, pop over to Patreon. Lots more videos over there. So let's go and crack on and have some fun with this. Okay, here we go. There's a reference photograph. Isn't that wonderful? Now, a good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine and follower, Carol, on Facebook posted a picture similar to this. Very similar. I don't know if she used the same reference photograph or not, but I saw it and thought it was absolutely stunning. So I hope Carol doesn't mind if I try my hand at this. Now, there could be two different photographs, I'm not sure, but they look very, very similar. So Carol, if you're watching, I hope you don't mind me trying this painting, because I don't like to copy other artists' work as such, but I just found this online and it was absolutely stunning. I think this will go lovely with the other one as a set. So let me tell you what colours I have. I have titanium white, Naples yellow, cadmium yellow pale, cadmium red, phaylo blue, lamp black, burnt umber, magenta and burnt sienna. I have a 12 by 12 canvas, nice and small, and I did a quick sketch, okay? Now I did prime this once, just with an undercoat, and I just gave it a rub of sandpaper, okay? A very light rub, so it's lovely and smooth. So that's it. Let's crack on and see can we create this nice painting. Now one thing to bear in mind with this is, because we're using oils, it's going to be tricky because you have a lot of yellow and you have a lot of grey and black, and those two colours don't mix well together, okay? I don't want to end up with green on the canvas, so this could be tricky. If it was acrylics, we'd have no problem, but oils stay wet for longer, so it's going to be fun trying to mix these darker shades of grey into this yellow without going green. So we may have to do a lot of work with the palette knife, okay? But anyway, let's go and have a bit of fun. I'm going to dampen my brush. I have some turpentine down here with a little linseed oil in it. A nice bright spot of sun right in the middle. Let's go with that first, okay? I like to get the rich bright colours in first. Let's take some cadmium yellow pale. I'll take a little cadmium red. So I'm mixing a really nice rich orange first, okay? A little thinners in this. Some Naples yellow just to cut the colour back slightly so it's not very, very vibrant. I don't want these colours too vibrant. So that Naples yellow just kind of pushes the vibrancy back slightly, okay? So you can see that. It just makes it nice and pasty and opaque. Very kind of a pastel type of a feeling. Let me try that now and have a look. Okay, I'm going to go right across the middle here first, right? With this. And we have a lot of a kind of a peachy, pinky colour in the sky as well. So I go to about there. Then I'm going to start taking Naples yellow, a little magenta. Now I hope the camera's not shaking around too much because it's very windy outside. It's a very, very windy day, and I have my camera mounted to the top of the studio roof. It's just a timber studio, so I have that mounted to the top. Now it's very windy, so the camera may move around slightly. For that I apologise, okay? But let's just go and see what we can do. Some magenta into that. So I'm going more of a pinky, peachy kind of a colour up on top, okay? I have almost zero thinners in this. Only that little piece I took at the very beginning, so this is just really lots of thick paint. I'm putting on a nice thick band of colour across my sky, okay? Naples yellow, magenta. And that gives just this wonderful, soft, kind of peachy orange kind of a colour. Let's bring that down. Then I'm going to go into some white, some magenta, and I might take a touch of phthalo blue, just a touch. Okay, I want this sort of almost like a mauve-y colour, you see that? Now I want to go more on the warm side of mauve, so I'll take a touch of cadmium red in there. So it's like a reddy, pinky, mauve-y sort of a hue. I want these colours nice and rich and warm, okay? I'm going to soften that across, not all the way. It's more so over on the right of the sky. Now as it comes up, I'm going to take some white and I'm going to make that nice and soft up there. Go right across with that, and then I'm going to soften that down, keeping to the right hand side as it comes down. Now softening any strong lines that you have. Just keep softening and softening all the way across. Soften out those lines because we have a kind of a little bit of a band of pink going across there, which I just want to soften out. So let me take a look at that now. That may look a little bit light on camera, but it's actually a nice rich colour. Right, so I want to create this nice halo effect of the sun. I want to take some cadmium yellow and a little cadmium red, and I want to make a nice rich orangey colour, okay? And I'm simply, with that, going to go around in a little circle first like this, okay? Like a rainbow. Alright? Now I'm using just paint on its own, there's no thinners in this at all, because the canvas is nice and wet already, okay? I'm going to go like that, then I'm going to soften that out ever so slightly. Look at my brush, you see? Around the outside first, and then we'll soften it across the inside. So what I'm doing then is I'm still keeping the shape of the halo, see that? But I'm not softening it right into the sky too much. So I still have a nice kind of a warm shape coming around. Next, give the brush a quick clean. And I'm going to go right into cadmium yellow first, okay? Just cadmium yellow on its own. And I'm going to create this wonderful, rich sun right in the middle. Now, if you're a bit iffy about painting suns and stuff like this, leave out the sun, alright? You can just leave it as a simple sky, if you like. It's completely up to yourself. I'm then going to soften that with my brush around the outside. And the idea is to just soften this right out into the sky. And you could use your blender brush. I still may use my blender brush for this. I'm hardly touching the canvas, look, you see? Just like that. Nice, rich, bright spot in the centre. And then I clean my brush very quickly with some thinners on my tissue, and I go into some white. And this white now will soften into the yellow. So it won't be pure white, it'll be a bright whitey yellow, okay? Soften that right in there like that. Just go around, hold your brush and flick it around in a circle. That's probably the easiest way. And I'm going to gently soften that outwards with the bristles of the brush, you see? Very gently. Okay? Now, that will even do fine. I think I'll take my soft brush, blender brush, and very gently just go over the sky, and let's try and go from the inside out. And let's try and soften that sun just outwards very gently, okay? You see? Just pulling the edges outwards. Very softly. So we have a nice soft circle in the centre. And that's it, that will do fine. That's our sun finished. Nice and simple. Let's move on, and we have what looks like kind of land or something like that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take some, let me see, I can see a hint of burnt umber in there. I can see some magenta and some Naples yellow. It's a very sort of a pinky browny colour, and it goes over into this yellow then, doesn't it? So I'm going to go with that. Perhaps a touch of maybe a touch of black, just to deepen it slightly. And again, you don't have to do this if you don't feel confident. I'm going to stop there, clean my brush. Now it's just a series of steps, okay? That's all it is really. I'm going to just give my brush a good wipe, a good clean, and let me get some Naples yellow on my palette. It's then going to go into a lovely orangey colour again for that sun, alright? So I'm going to take some Naples yellow, and I'll take a hint of cadmium red, some cadmium yellow. So I'm going into a nice rich colour then, okay? And I'm going to create this lovely halo around the bottom of the land. You see the way the sun kind of creates a halo down there? I'm going to try and create that. Cadmium red and cadmium yellow. And let's put some of that just down there, okay? Just where it kind of goes under the sun. Now you could continue that down into your water as well, if you like, as we have the colour on our brush. We could just continue it down a little bit. And then I'll take some Naples yellow. And then I'll take some burnt umber with magenta and a touch of blue. And I'll just darken again over here, okay? So this then will help with the contrast. And what I'm going to do is soften it very gently across, look. Just gently. And maybe a little bit over here as well. So I'm then keeping that halo. Little touch of black perhaps just along the bottom here. And this will act as a nice contrast later on. So put the brush down, and then I'm going to soften this across and kind of into the sky at the same time, up into the sun at the same time, okay? Creating a nice soft colour. And I'm going to soften all of this across into the sky as well. So the idea is to create a sort of a misty kind of a feeling off in the distance, okay? It's very far away. The sun is creating a kind of a misty halo effect. I'm just going to soften all this right around. Okay, now we just fix this piece here. You could go around in a little circle if you want to create that round effect from the sun, you see? Down each side, like that. And I leave it at that. I'm going to continue on. And I'm going to start filling in all of this water, okay? All the way down. Let's go and have a bit of fun with this. A nice clean brush. I'm going to make this a nice soft mauve, alright? I'm going to take some blue, some white, some cadmium red, and some magenta. The magenta really just kind of warms this colour. It's really a wonderful colour. But there's a lot of pink in this. I can see a lot of red. A bit more red. Now let's try that first. Maybe a hint of Naples yellow. And I can darken this a little bit as well. I'm going to soften that across into this kind of orangey colour that we have. And look, we have to be very careful that we don't end up with greens, okay? Because greens are the enemy in this painting. We don't want greens. I took a little bit of burnt umber there as well. We don't want greens in this, whatever we do, okay? That's the most important factor in all of this. A little bit more red, maybe some Naples yellow. Just mix little amounts of colour, okay? Until you're happy enough with what you have. I know a lot of this is yellow, isn't it? There's a lot of yellow going on down here. So the colours I'm mixing are going to neutralise with the yellow. So wherever you have lots of yellow, put something with lots of red in the mix, like this for example. So when we come to put yellow in here later on, it won't create muddy colours, hopefully not. I'm going to go with a mauve. So some blue, some magenta, some cadmium red, and I'm going to go with a nice mauve here, okay? These colours are not going to be exactly the same as the photograph, because bearing in mind we're using oils, as I was saying earlier, it's going to be very difficult to merge all of these colours together without having green on our palette and our canvas rather. So I'm using plenty of warm mauves in this. I'm sure it's going to look lovely nonetheless, but I just want to be careful, okay? I'll take some black with some mauve. So you can see I'm keeping everything warm, kind of on the pink side. A little bit more black. Let's try some white in there. So we have more of a grey. We have a kind of a neutral grey now, okay? A kind of a pinky grey. It's just to get all this kind of shadowed side kind of filled in. That's all. A little bit of white in there. And this will just be the sort of a kind of a go-between colour. So this will be the colour between the yellow and the darks, okay? Just getting all of this in as a nice kind of a base. Now as it comes up we can start darkening all of this. I do have a bit of yellow on my brush, so I'm just going to give it a quick clean. Good clean. We have lovely rich dark blacky pinks up here, so I'm going to pop those in. Just as I have my big brush in my hand, I might as well just pop them in and have them done. So black, magenta, some cadmium red, a little touch of blue, okay? And this may look completely black on camera, but it's a very blacky pink. All right. I'm just going to go up and get some of those in. I'll take some thinners just to thin it slightly. We could take a little bit of white actually as well, so it goes into more of a grey. Okay. And notice my brush strokes, I'm following the shape of the wave all the time, all right? That's very important. That's probably the most important aspect of painting like this, is to follow the shape of the waves. Whether you're painting waves or sand or mountains, all that kind of stuff, you must follow the shape. And that gives you the direction that you want, you see? That tells the viewer it's coming down like this at a curve. That gives you that impression. So don't just fill it like this. Always bring your brush strokes downwards like this, you see? And now it's all mixing together lovely. So now we're starting to build up our wave, aren't we? Nice dark spot down there. And this is exactly how I painted my other painting. The nice rich blue with the green and turquoise in there. It's the very same method, because I use the same method for all my painting. So, we now have nice complementary colours, okay, going on. I'm going to clean my brush, and I might move to a different clean brush because I have a lot of grey and black in this. We need to move on to some nice yellows. So let me find another clean brush. I have so many brushes, do you know that? So many. A nice clean flat brush. I'm going to mix some nice rich orangey yellows for this. I'll take lots of cadmium yellow, some thinners. I'm going to take some cadmium red into that, and I'll take some Naples yellow as well. Again, the Naples yellow just thickens up the colour, so it's not so translucent, if you understand what I mean. So this should cover the canvas quite nicely then. Let me have a look now, okay? Let me just firstly pop in. Now, I think a little bit of magenta might help. A little touch. Just to make it slightly more on the warm side. And because we have a lot more pink in this orange, so it's a very orangey pink. It's going to mix nicely with this colour down here. So going into mauve, you need to have a nice warm colour, okay? Just like this, you see that? So a nice orangey colour. If I put yellow right on this and mixed it, you'd end up with green straight away. You'd have green going into the mauve. Because anything with blue or mauve mixed with yellow turns green. It's like a muddy green, a browny green. So we don't want that. So always add plenty of pink or red into the mix when coming down into your mauves down here, okay? It's still, I mean, you can even still see it start to go a little muddy. So I'm going to mix up another batch. Cadmium yellow, cadmium red, and a little magenta. If you don't have magenta, you could use crimson as well, okay? Crimson would do nicely as well. So I always start off with this warmer colour first, this orangey reddy colour, and I work my bright yellows into this then. That's generally how I work it. Because it's much easier to put your rich yellows on top of all of this if you have an orangey undercoat, okay? An orangey base colour. Now I'm going to soften some of this out into the ocean, just to create a sort of a continuation of the water out there, okay? You see that? Just pop a little touch of it in here and there. So you can see it almost continues outwards. And bring it up here. Again, plenty of pink in the mix. Plenty. And let's go up into this. So this won't be the finished colour, by the way. As I said, I'm putting this rich orange, this pinky kind of an orange, on here first, so I can work my bright yellows on top of this then. It'll make it much easier to put yellows on top of pinks, rather than putting yellows on top of blues or mauves or greys. It'll just work much nicer. So let me just sit back now for a moment and take a look at how this is looking. Okay, we're getting there slowly. We have some nice base colours in and ready to go. I'm going to just take my soft blender brush and soften along here, okay? I'm going to pull it downwards into the water, soften it all across, creating a nice soft effect. Look, just like that. I'm looking forward to using the palette knife later for all of this, getting real detail in there and lots of thick paint. That's going to be really fun. Funnily enough, I didn't need to use my burnt umber or my burnt sienna. I thought I might need some burnt sienna. Perhaps I still could, but I don't think I need it for now. I don't think so. We could perhaps try it if you like. Let's try some burnt sienna. Let's take burnt sienna with a little cadmium yellow. And this will also give us a very warm, rich, autumn kind of a colour, okay? We could pop some of that in down here, look. So just starting now to work in some of our darks. And this painting is filled with rich dark colours. Maybe a touch of cadmium red as well. So a very reddy brown popping in here and there. I really want to create the nice warmth from the sun on the wave. Okay, I'll stop at that. And it's really starting to come to life, isn't it? Now, I think next I'll give this brush a really good clean. And I might go up and start doing some of these. In fact, no, I'll take a different brush, a nice clean brush, okay? And I'm going to go up and start filling in some of this stuff up here, all this dark stuff up here. I'm going to go with black. And I'm going to take some phaylo blue and then a little white, okay? then a hint of cadmium red. So it's nice and dark up here. Let's fill in, let's just get roughly that nice dark area up here. So what we have here is very complementary colours. So we've very rich warm yellows and we've very cool dark greys and blues, and they're both fighting each other. And that makes for a wonderful, wonderful painting. I'm just going to go in and sort of fill in sort of the edge of the wave, okay? And making it very sort of rough and ruffled. Remember, turn your brush strokes back down into the wave. You see, that really gives you the curvature of the wave. Now I'll take some more black, a little more blue, and I'll give it even just some darker colours. I'm being careful not to go out into the sky because we'll end up then with a green, and we don't want that. Now I just need to get some more magenta on my palette. This is one that you could try if you just take your time, really take your time. I'm sure you'll have fantastic results with something like this. Now a little white and a little magenta into that dark mix, so I have a very kind of a dark, rich dark kind of a pink, okay? And I'm going to just go out here with that, and I'm going to turn it downwards, and I'm going to come down and leave it disappear. Alright, just like that. It comes out more, doesn't it? This wave. Okay, just like that. It sort of drops little droplets of water that kind of dip down like that. Let's just put them in very loosely, and then we can create that thick curve out here. You see the way I'm just flicking my brush? That's all. Just flick the brush inwards. I'm trying not to pick up some of the colour from the sky as much as I can. Okay, so that's looking quite nice now so far, isn't it? We're starting to get some form. Right, I'm going to go into black. Just black, and I'm going to take some cadmium red, okay? Black and cadmium red. Very rich, dark, dark colour, but it's warm. It's almost like a very blacky brown, okay? And I'm going to just start filling in. You see those real dark spots? I'm just going to start pulling in some of those. Now a lot of this will be done with the palette knife anyway at a later stage, but I just want to get these very dark spots filled in with my brush. And there's a lot of those over here as well. And you see the technique I'm using, I'm just simply pushing my brush back and forth, but I'm following the curve at the same time. See what I mean? I'm wiggling the brush back and forward, but I'm following the curve of the wave. And I'm just being very loose with this. Just let your brush kind of dance around here and there. Nice dark one down here. And everything kind of disappears off into a point. You see? So it's coming together already, isn't it? I do apologise now if there's a bit of a glare. Actually, there's a bit of a glare coming in from the window. I'm just going to pop something up over the window here just to help with that. I think that helps, doesn't it? Yeah, that's better now. There we go. Okay, I'm going to start going into some really cool colours for this. I'm going to start taking some blue with black and a little white. So I could see lots of cool colours showing through up there. So with this lighter colour, I'm going to pop some of that in. Just, you see the way the light is coming through and catching the underside of that wave. And I'm going to pop some around here. So again, this will be the base for some of those lighter, kind of whitey, bluey colours. Take some more white, some more phthalo blue, and pop a little bit more blue in there. It's simply just following the curve of the wave. That's the technique I'm using, okay? It's very simple. And go up here, pop a few in. Very randomly. You see the way I'm flicking my brush up and down while following the curve at the same time? It's that kind of a technique. Now, it's really simple to do. Just try it. Don't be shy. Okay, let's get some phthalo blue and some magenta and some white. We got a nice bright colour. And this will accentuate the highlights later on, alright? I know you may not think that now, but it will. Once I start putting on really bright highlights later, this is really going to stand out. Now I'm going to go for a real bright colour, just in here. You see that area? I'm going to go for some real bright, sparkly colour. Some phthalo blue, lots of white, and a little magenta, okay, just to warm it. And I can see I'm going to be very rough. It's going to flick my brush around. You see that? You can, of course, if you want, you can use a small brush for this, small pointy brush. And I will use a small pointy brush shortly, but I think just the roughness of this flat brush will make a big difference. Do you know what I mean? The roughness and just the very rough direction of the brush. Rather than using a small pointy brush, I think this will make a big difference. So let me just get some highlights in. Okay, so doing quite well. Now I'll stop at that. So you can see everything here that I'm doing is just really a series of steps, isn't it? It's a series of steps. Now I'm going to go to my small pointy brush and let's get some detail. Let's really go in here and get some nice detail done. I'm going to start with some darks. I'm going to follow the darks down here. So I'm going to take some black, lots of cadmium red. Now I've lots of turpentine in this as well, okay? A bit more black and a touch of blue. Lots of turpentine, fine pointy brush. I have a very dark kind of a browny colour here, okay? Dark blacky brown colour. And I'm going to just simply start putting that down into this orange. Now be careful, because if I mix these together too much, I'm going to end up with green. So the idea here is to put on a single kind of a brush stroke without mixing it, okay? So you can see what I mean, just like this. I'm not mixing it right in. And put plenty of red in the mix. That will help neutralize any greens. So now we can start to see these darks really bringing the painting to life, isn't it? I go up here and I put some of those darks in up around here as well, because that's very eye-catching just in there, isn't it? You can see where all those darks really catch the edge, especially out here, look, where it catches the edge of the wave and it really separates the wave from the sky. That's really nice, I like that. Then we can start creating some darks in here as well. So lots of lovely darks. coming down. And this is something now that you can really take your time with. You don't have to go as fast as me. I'm used to painting like this. I like to paint quickly like this. I find it very therapeutic. But you can sit at home for 2 or 3 hours if you like and just simply take your time. There's no rush whatsoever. This dark is more or less a bright, so I'm not too worried about that. And I'm going to bring some more nice darks down in here. Now I'm taking more cadmium red, and I'm taking some magenta. It's a lovely kind of a dark, plummy, pinky colour, and I'm going to come down here and just sort of create some darks in that yellow. Now because I have a lot of magenta in this, a lot of pink, it's not going to go green too much, at least it shouldn't, because a pink will soften into an orange nicely without creating muddy colours. But again, try not to mix it too much as you're going, alright? I'm going to put some of that out here as well. We have a nice, like a wave breaking off there in the distance. And pop a few in. It's really just to create movement in the water, off there in that distance. And the technique I'm using here is sort of flick, okay? Flicking left and right and kind of up and down slightly. You see? Just with the tip of the brush, that's all. So now it's starting to come together, isn't it? Slowly. Slowly but surely. Just keep emphasizing lots of red in your mix, okay? Lots of pink, lots of red. Try not to use just black on its own, because you will end up getting green in your wave, okay? And it's just going to completely take the look away. Now I'm going to go right into some black, and I'm going to go up here. Now lots of turpentine in this. I'm going to go up here and really start putting in some darks. You can see there's some really nice darks right up there. And that will really help brighten up all this area. So if we have nice dark colours up here, it's going to really brighten up the rest of the painting. As they come down, then just leave them sort of wiggle. The trick here, I'd say, is kind of lots of little wiggles, okay? And lots of flicks with the brush. Just loads and loads of little flicks. Now, see, we're getting there slowly. I think we are getting there slowly. I'm going to put some real rich black detail just in around here as well. Now, because we're using oils, it is a little bit more difficult to get kind of solid fine lines. If it was acrylics, all of this would be dry and we would have no problem. But with the oils, put on plenty of turpentine and plenty of paint just to get these solid lines without mixing them too much. I'd say that's probably the trick. Lots of turpentine and lots of paint. It's just black, okay? Nothing else, just pure black. We will be doing the same then with our lights. I might even use a palette knife for all the light colours, all those yellows, because I think a palette knife will give us a nice definite, solid line of colour. And I'll take more up here. I want to go nice and dark up here. If you're a bit worried about using the detail brush like this, you could simply just get a palette knife and go right in with your palette knife, okay? But I like to spend a bit of time with my detail brush. It's just good practice, if anything. Really good practice. Now I'm going to come down and I want to get this nice dark colour in down here, okay? There's a lovely dark down here, isn't there? Nice and dark. Let's just pop a load of that colour in there, that nice dark colour. And that'll give us a nice separation from the closer side to the distant side of the wave. Okay. Already, it's looking pretty nice, isn't it? Now I'm going to go to some of the lights. Shall we chance do some of the lights? I think we should. I suppose we could just use our sharp-edged palette knife for this and make sure it's clean. Let's take some cadmium yellow. So this is when the whole painting comes to life, okay? Cadmium yellow, some cadmium red. I'm going to put a nice rich orange all the way across here first, okay? Not just yellow on its own, a nice rich, I suppose a yellowy orange, we call it. Give that a quick mix up there, okay? Now, nice rich orange. Let's just go with the tip of the knife, a little bit on the tip of the knife, and let's just simply pop some of it across here and there. You see how simple this is now? I'm just using the top edge of my knife. It's kind of hit and miss, all right? You see that? It's great fun, it really is. We have a nice orange coming across here. So what I'm doing is I'm starting with the darker colours and I'm going to work bright colours in on top of this then, you see. So this nice rich orange across up here as well. Like so. I'll take some Naples yellow in this mix and I'm going to pop some of this gentle lighter colour just up here. Now I'm going to take a little bit more cadmium red in this with Naples yellow. So what I'm going for, even some magenta, is a light peachy, a peachy pinky kind of a colour, okay? So Naples yellow with magenta will give you this wonderful sort of a peachy, soft kind of a pink, okay? I'm going to use that to go up here. And create that nice light going up into the wave, okay? And the trick, I suppose, is not to mix this too much into the colour underneath because you'll end up with greens. So you can see the way I'm just putting it on and leaving it. I find that's the best solution. So drag it across. Try not to mix it in too much. And this now is creating, you know, beautiful lights. And we can come across here with that colour as well. I'm going to mix some more. So I get some Naples yellow, some magenta, and this will help give us some nice warm colours. Look, isn't that lovely? So it's a light colour but it's warm at the same time. Now let me just move my canvas a second just so I can get right down to the corner here with this. Bit more pink in this. So we have a nice pale pastel kind of a pink right now. You see that? A nice pale kind of a pastel pink. And I'm going to go up into the wave up here. It's really catching the light up around here, isn't it? Clean your knife every now and then just to keep it clean. It does make a big difference. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, you know, you're covering most of the paint that you've already done with the palette knife, but everything we've done up to now was just kind of a base. All right, it was a lovely base on which to work on. Now let me take some cadmium yellow into this mix. So we have a pink with a touch of cadmium yellow. That will give us this lovely, warm kind of a colour down here. It's a very soft kind of a colour, isn't it? When you're doing this, think pastels, think pastel colours. The same there, okay. And we'll do one or two just over here. Okay. Now, so far I think that's not looking too bad at all, is it? I'm pretty happy with this. We could get a pointy brush, go back to our pointy brush, and start getting some nice bright details in with this. So let's get some of this lovely colour that we just mixed. Okay, this lovely bright colour, a hint of white, and for instance, we'll go up here, pop that lovely colour in there, okay? Separating this now from the background, that's what we're doing, from those distant hills and all that kind of stuff. Cadmium, or sorry, Naples yellow, a little magenta, so we have a nice soft pink. You can see just popping some light in here and there. Painting something like this, really, I find, is based on lights and darks. Would you agree? I find there's lots of lights and lots of darks intermixing and mingling together. Now as it comes up, it's going to get nice and warm up there. Go with more of a pink. So we have a nice kind of a soft pink catching the highlights up there, you see that? That's a nice colour, I like that. Again, you could use a palette knife for this, but I find if you use a palette knife too much, it just becomes a palette knife painting. Whereas using a brush like this, you can see the individual brush strokes rather than just having a rough palette knife effect. So it's nice to use a palette knife like this as well, or sorry, a pointy brush like this as well. It just mixes it up a little bit. But pop a couple of lights in here and there. So we're transitioning now from that nice light to a dark. Okay, I'm going to go with some cadmium yellow and white. So a very bright yellow, okay? And I'm going to just start putting. In fact, I'll take a little cadmium red as well. Very rich kind of a yellow. And I'm going to pop that in here and there. Just to create some warmth from that sun catching the water here and there, okay? So it's this lovely kind of an orangey colour. And again, be very careful not to get any greens on your canvas. That's probably the most important part of all of this. Now you can see this kind of went a little bit green, so I'm going to pop a little bit of ready orange over that. Just to neutralize that. Okay, that's fine, it's absolutely fine. And I'm going to pop a little of this ready orange colour in around here as well, just to suggest the light from that sun going through the wave. Okay, now I can see a lot of that pinky orange colour over here as well. There seems to be a lot of it kind of showing through the wave on this side. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow with some cadmium red, and I'm going to just start popping some really rich colours into the wave here and there. Okay, now I'm not finished this by a long shot. I'm going to go along there now very soon and put some very rich bright yellows where my sun is catching here, so that's really going to lift it up. Okay, now my last step for this over here is some cadmium yellow with some white. I just want to catch some real bright highlights on that wave there. Okay, some real bright ones. The problem, of course, with oils is as soon as you put the paint on, it wants to mix with the colour underneath. That's the problem, so you have to be careful. I'll pop a little bit of Naples yellow just around some of these up here, just to create the edges, a few of the edges. And I'll pop a little touch of Naples yellow in here and there as well, just catching the light from the sun. Okay. And let me see. I'm going to then take my palette knife, my small palette knife. I'm going to mix some light whitey blue, okay? Some phaylo blue and some white. Just those two colours. Now it doesn't have to be too bright, okay? Just a very rich blue. And perhaps a hint of cadmium red. Just the tiniest hint. I'm going to pop some of this blue up here. You see that very rough effect we have up there? Just drag some of that. Again, following a curve. You see, just following the curve. And that little bit of blue now, it just kind of brightens the whole area up, doesn't it? You see, I'm just barely touching the canvas. Hardly touching it, just with the edge of the knife, just here and there. I won't overdo it, all right? I want to keep it nice and soft. I don't want to go crazy. I'm then going to take some white on its own. I think just a little bit of white, and possibly just touch a little dab of white in here and there. Again, it's sort of towards the edge of the wave. Now you could ruffle up the edge of the wave as well, just to create the impression of the foam. So like the shadow of the foam here and there. Now you can see the way I'm allowing the water to sort of drop off here and there. Maybe a little touch of it just here. Again, I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to go crazy with all of this. But just a little. drag a little bit of white just here and there across some of those waves, you see. Okay, I'm going to do this lovely bright reflection from the sun. I'm thinking simply just yellow and white, okay? Cadmium yellow and some titanium white. Give that a nice mix. Now, with the edge of a palette knife, I'll soften it upwards first, just gently, look, just a touch. And then when you get down here, really go to town, okay? Really put on plenty of that. And it comes over at an angle, doesn't it? You see that? It's kind of following the curve of the wave as the wave is coming up into the sky. And again, I'm doing a curve on this as well at the same time. So it's not straight, I'm following the curve of the wave as well. You see? It's just that simple, just with the palette knife, nothing else. Now I'm going to take some rich cadmium yellow on its own as well, and I'm going to pop a little of that in here and there, just to thicken up some of those bands, alright, just to make them slightly thicker here and there. And I leave it even fizzle out a little bit as well, so it's catching the water here and there. And lastly, I'm going to take a very bright yellow, cadmium yellow with lots of white. It's almost white, I would imagine, just white on its own. And that will really catch the lightness of those sun rays on the water, okay? So a little touch of white just here and there, look. And that will really kind of draw your eye in. Now make sure there's no blue next to that white, okay? I have a lot of colours mixed in with this white. Just a little white on its own. That will really help give it this kind of sparkle. See that lovely sparkle we have on this yellow? There's a kind of a little sparkle here and there as well. Okay. And I think, my friends, I think we're done. One thing I might do with my palette knife is drag some dark colour down, okay? I'll take some black and I will take lots of magenta. Again, a blacky kind of a pink. A blacky plum, let's call it. And I'm simply, just to create some nice texture up there in that dark spot, just simply going to drag this down. Now you could say we've painted probably 50% of this with the palette knife in the end, but the palette knife gives you this wonderful rough effect, doesn't it? The whole reason for all this underpainting was so that we wouldn't end up with greens, so to get the base colours in first, and that would help neutralise any clash of colours. So I'd always do a base painting like that first. Okay. There we go. I don't feel the need now I have to go any further with this. You know, you could keep working away on this as much as you like, but I find sometimes if you just stop early on and take a look and say, yeah, I'm happy with that, sometimes that's the best time just to stop. I'm going to take some cadmium red, pop a little cadmium red just into this dark section here, just to add some brightness here and there, and maybe a little just across here. And my friends, I am going to call this done. There's one thing I would like to do with my small pointy brush. Just take some dark colour and pop a little dark colour here and there, as if the foam is kind of hitting in shadow, okay? You see, just like that. Maybe take a little black just around the outline of that. And I think we're done. I hope you've enjoyed watching me paint, and I hope you've got some little bit of, I suppose, courage to try it. Because after all, that's my goal. My goal is just to give you a little bit of encouragement just to try it, all right? And don't be afraid. You know, just what's the worst that can happen? It's just paint, okay? It's just paint and canvas. If it doesn't work, wipe it down and start again, okay? But do try it. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I'm fiddling. I need to sign. Come down here and I'll sign this. Just quickly. I'm very lazy with my signatures, aren't I? And there we are, my friends. We are finished. And there we go. Cool colours and warm colours mixing together on canvas. Remember, just try to keep it nice and simple, okay? Now let me just see if I can turn the camera here. No, I won't, I'll leave it. So there we go, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm very happy with this. This will look lovely next to my other one. Where is it? It's hanging here somewhere. I'll put it away somewhere. That will look lovely hanging next to the other wave I did. I think they'll make a, look, here it is. Won't they make a wonderful set? Just like that. Aren't they lovely? I'm very happy with that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for joining me and watching me and subscribing. And most of all, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. I hope you're getting some information from these tutorials in simplifying a painting and just walking along in steps. So yes, do try it. Let me know what you think. If you would like to show me your work, please email me on the email address in the description. And again, if you want to support me, please, thank you so much. Pop up the Patreon and lots more wonderful tutorials just like this over there for your support. Thank you so much. God bless you all. I must go and get a coffee and something for my nose, maybe aspirin or something. I'll see you very soon, my friends. Take care and happy painting. God bless.